Hello class, welcome back. So one thing I forgot to do in the last episode, which is, let's say if you want to go to /r/funny/submit and you hit enter, it still takes you there even if you're not logged in. Now, of course, we don't want this to happen. We want to be redirected to the home page or to the login page, in this case, if we're not logged in. Now, this will be a perfect use case for us to check this on the server side instead of just sending a request in client side, because we want to hide this page completely. We don't want the user to see any glimpse of this page and be completely redirected in server time. So let's go back to our submit page, submit.tsx, scroll down and all the way down here. And here we're going to use get server side props. So here we'll say export and close the sidebar, const get server side props. And this will return, a type of get server side props, and make sure to import that. And this will be an async function that will take, actually we'll destructure straight away from the context, request and response, and then do something. So what we need to do here is we need to send a request to our server, even though we are in the same server, but we can still send the API request on the same machine. So we'll say try catch. I didn't use the snippet, so let's do catch error there. And in our try catch block, we're going to send a request to the auth endpoint, the me route, to validate that this cookie that we received from the client is indeed a valid JWT token that we issued ourselves and is still not expired. So let's say const cookie, and we can get this from the request headers. So we'll say request.headers.cookie. And actually we can do an initial check, and we say if not cookie, we're gonna immediately throw an error. So we'll say throw new error, and we'll say missing auth token cookie. This error text doesn't really matter because we're just gonna redirect. You can use it to show it on the client side, but I'm okay with just redirecting for now. So if we do get an error, what we need to do is we're gonna say response.writeHead. And by the way, these request and response, it's the same API, the Node API. So if you want to know more about this, you can just go to the nodejs.org page and you will learn about the request and response objects and what methods and properties they have. So here we'll say writeHead, and this takes a status code. And I think the most relevant status code will be 307. By the way, all status codes that start with 3, the 300s, are redirect status codes. So 307, and we're going to pass an object with a location key, and the location will be /login. So this will tell the browser to go to this page. And now I'm going to chain.end. You can also do res.end after this, but I found this is a more concise syntax. So otherwise, if we do have a cookie, we're going to send a request, and we don't need to store the response of this. So we can just say await axios.get, and we're going to get /auth/me. And here we're going to forward the headers that we received. And actually, we're just going to forward the cookie. So we're going to say headers and put cookie like that in an object. And of course, if we get here, that means that was successful. We're going to just return an empty props, because we don't need anything from here. We just need to check that the user is indeed authenticated. So save this and let's check if that's working. All right, it's actually working. It immediately redirected us to the login page. And yeah, so if we go anywhere, like let's say we go to a different, if it's subreddit, it's the same. We go, actually we don't have the button because we're not authenticated, but if we do go up there and we type it /submit, we indeed get redirected to the home, the login page. And if we log in and try to go there, the only issue is that when you log in, it does not actually take you back because it doesn't know which page you are in, because you are redirected. It does not store in the stack of the routes that you visited. But it's okay. It takes you to the page that you visited before that, which is okay. So we're just going to go now create post. Now that we're logged in, we indeed can see this page and interact with it. So now that we got that out of the way, let's start to work on this search bar up here. So we go to the actual Reddit, we check the search bar. So this allows us to search for subreddits. So if I type here React, for example, okay, I don't know why it didn't work for a second. If I type React, there we go. So if I keep typing, I type something else, I don't know, read. Yeah, we get read Reddit. Oh, there's a Reddit one that's called, has the same name as the Reddit that we're creating. That's cool. So yeah, basically it just searches subs and it returns them for us in this dropdown. So let's start by creating the endpoint itself that searches subs. So let's go back to our code. Let's go to subs.ts in our server routes file. Let's scroll down and let's create a new handler. Here I'm going to call it search subs. Here we're going to receive a name of the sub, so we'll say const name equals. Let me create the route first so it makes sense. It's going to be very similar to this, but let me duplicate this. So this will be get to / search / and then you pass the name. And we're not going to need the user middleware because we don't show anything that interacts with this logged in user data. So we're just going to say like this and just give it the search subs handler. So here we're going to get the name from the parameters. So we'll say const name equals request.params.name. And we're going to check if it's empty. So we'll say if is empty name, then we're going to return res.status 400.json, and we'll just say error name must not be empty. Otherwise, we're gonna fetch the subs, but the way we're gonna do this is we're gonna take the name and we're gonna make it into lowercase and compare it against all of the subs that we have in the database, and also make the names of the subs lowercase. For example, because you can have a subreddit that is called React.js like this, and it's stored as a case sensitive string. And if you want to search for, let's say, I don't know, React.js like this, you want to be able to find it. And also, starting from next 10, which we are using, you have a case-sensitive router. So you can actually have two different routes for these. These can be two separate subreddits if you want them to be. So for this, we're going to use the query builder. So let's say const subs equals await get repository. Make sure to import that. And here we're going to pass it the model or the entity that we want to use, which is sub. And here we'll say .create query builder. And here we'll say .where, and our where is going to use the lower helper from SQL, which makes the variable that we pass it into lowercase. We're going to pass name like this, and we'll say like, which is something that you use to search in SQL. And here we can say :name, which is a syntax that allows us to pass wildcard variables inside of our query with TypeORM's query builder. And here we're going to pass it an object with our parameters. And our parameters are just one, which is name, which will represent this name here. And the name will be the name that we got from our input. And we're going to say .to lowercase and then .trim as well, just to remove all the white space. Now, searching like this is actually going to fail most of the time, because like this, we're matching exactly this, this string. So what we can do is we can surround it with, so we can do backticks and do here percentage sign, and then do $sign curly brace to concatenate this, and here add another percentage sign and close the backticks. And this will tell SQL that we want, okay, there's a problem here. Oh, let me close curly brace of the object. And this will tell SQL we want to find a sub that has this piece of string inside of it. So for example, here, if you say you're looking for React, if you throw in EA like this, it's going to find you React. And by the way, if you just do percentage, if you want to do this, actually, let's do just percentage at the end and not at the start, which means if you throw this, it's not going to find you React. It needs to it looks only if this has additional stuff at the end, but not at the start. So if you do this, React, it's going to find you React, which I think like this kind of makes more sense when you are searching on the search bar. Of course, there's like 1,000 ways to optimize how an app searches for something on the database. This is just kind of like the beginning of how search works and how you can let a user interact with your database using a search functionality. So here we're going to chain get many to do exactly that. And then we're going to return this in the response. So we're going to return res.json, and we just pass the subs. And if we get an error, we're just going to console log it. And we're going to return the usual res.status 500.json error. Something went wrong. Oops. I always misspell went wrong. Okay, went wrong. There we go. All right, let's give this a test. So I'm going to go to Postman. I'm going to go to Reddit subs, search subs, which is just /subs/search and whatever we want to search for. And in this case, I already populated it with React.js. I'm going to say ria and see what we get. Send this. there we go. We get an array of subs, and it has Ready Player One, really cool book/movie, by the way, and really annoying noises, and React.js. And if I say React, I should just get React.js, and I do. Fortunately, I don't have like use cases where it shares like other pieces of string, but that's okay. If we say fun, we should get funny. And if we say funny and then add some stuff onto it, we should get nothing. Cool, we get an empty array. All right, let's use this on the client side now and show them. So this search bar is, let's go back to our app. The search bar is part of the navbar. So let's head over to navbar.tsx and scroll down. So actually not scroll, actually exactly right here, where there's this search input. Let's give it a value. Actually, let's create that first. So let's go here and say use state. Make sure to import that and then use the snippet and say name. And the name will start as an empty string. And let's go back down, actually right here. So the value will be name, and we're going to give it an onChange. So we want to search every time the user types something, search whatever string they typed and show them what the subs are. So here onChange, we're going to get an event, and we're going to use a function called search subs, which we haven't created yet, and pass it the event.target.value. So let's create this search subs. So here under the logout, let's say const search subs equals async, and it's going to take the name of the sub, which is a string. And first we're going to actually set the name in our state. So set name to this name. Actually, let's call this subname to not have like naming conflicts. So we're going to set name, which is the local state variable, to this subname. And we're going to do a try catch block where we fetch the data. So we're going to say error here, and here we'll say const data, and let's call it subs equals await. I'm going to use Axios for this. Axios.get backticks /subs /search / and then do $ curly brace and concatenate the subname that we got passed here. And let's have a way to store them in this component. So here, let's create another state variable, use state, and this will be subs. And it will be an empty array at the beginning. And let's give it a type here. And let's say this is going to be an array of subs. And make sure to import this from our types. Let's go back down. So here, when we get the data, we're going to set. Actually, we're going to have subs here. So let's not name this subs. So just get the data and say set subs data. And let's actually console log that data so that we can see it in the console for now. So let's console log error here. And if it happens, let's save and let's look at it. So I'm going to go back to the home page, and here in the, okay, there's an error related to one of the links here. We'll fix this later. I'm just going to ignore it for now. So let's go to network and let's go and type here. So if I say React, there you go. So it already started to send requests for each time I type React. See now when I did a React with R at the end, it was an empty array, and earlier it had 3. And when I reached React, it had only 1, which is the React.js subreddit. So the search is working just fine. So let's now show them in a dropdown once we get these results. All right, let's go back. So scroll down. Actually, right underneath this input, we're going to have a div with a class of absolute, because I want it to always be right underneath that input, even though if we're like scrolled up or down, it should be relative to that. So we'll say div.absolute. I'm going to give it left-0 and right-0. And what this will do is it will stretch it, and it will always have the exact same width as the input that's right above it. Or actually not the input, the div that contains it, which as well has the same width, so that's okay. Works out the same. So here I'm going to give it bg white as well, so bg-white, tab that over. And actually I'm going to add something else to it, which we can't use as a class, but we can use in inline styling. So let's do a style object here and say top, and give it 100%, which will always leave the top of this list at the bottom of the input above it. And because this is absolute, we want to give a wrapping div relative. So we want it to be relative to this. So relative, add it to the div that contains it. And inside of here, we're going to loop through the subs. So we're going to say subs ? So that, because that can be null or empty. So dot map, and for each sub, for each sub, which we know already this is a type of sub, so because we already gave the type of the. So here for each sub, we're going to return a div with a class of flex and items dash center, and let's give it some padding on the right and left. And by the way, we're making this, if you're wondering, it's this, every one of these is this thing right here, because it needs some padding on the right and left, top and bottom, and also it needs this cursor pointer, and also that it needs to have a BG gray once we hover over it. So here we have already the flex item center, so px-4 and py-3, and cursor dash pointer, tab that, and now we're gonna add hover bg dash gray dash 200. So here, first thing, let's put the image and let's wrap this in a div. I'm gonna give it margin right 4 so that there's space between the image and the text, and also overflow of hidden, because we're gonna use the next image. And here we're gonna say rounded dot, oh actually not dot dash full. And here let's use the next image component. And does it import it? Okay, for some reason it doesn't import it, so let's just import it manually. So here let's say import from next slash image. All right, let's go back down right here. So the source is sub.image URL, and I can give it an alternative and say this is just sub. Here let's give it a height. So I wanted to give it width 8, so we're gonna say here 8 times 16 over 4, and repeat this for the width, and close this. Let's actually take a look at this for now. Save, and let's go back here. I'm just gonna refresh, and I'm gonna say react. All right, there we go. So we're getting the same clip behavior that we got here. And that's because I did the same mistake again of giving the classes to the wrapping div. I don't know why this is a pattern that I need to rewire from my brain. Okay, so let's remove this wrapping div. So we don't need, we can just give this rounded full to the image itself. So class name, rounded full, remove this div closing tag and save. All right, let's look at it. All right, cool. That looks exactly how I wanted it to look. All right, let's put the text next to it. I want these pieces of text to both be small, so I'm going to wrap them in a div with a class of text-sm. We notice in the actual Reddit, we have, so the name of the subreddit, the title, or actually not the title, the name in a bit semi-bold, and underneath it, the number of members. But we haven't got this functionality, so I'm just going to put the title of the sub underneath it. So let's go back here and say .font-medium. And this will be the sub.name. Actually, not a div, this should be a paragraph. So P, this will be a paragraph, and this will be a normal font weight, but I'm going to want to give it text gray 600. And here this will be sub.title. Save this, and let's look at it. Let's give this div some margin on the left. So here, let's say ml-4, save. And there we go. All right, so that looks like we intended it to look. Cool. So that if we type and it actually populates them, I just realized if we delete this entire string, it should empty the search results. And also, actually, now that I look at this, yeah, so what we need to do as well is we need to do some like sort of quote unquote rate limiting. Because obviously we don't want, the user to be able to spam like this. And look, we already made like 100 requests. And also it's a bit jarring to like change like quickly. So it's better, I think, user experience to put like a delay on it. So the way we can do this is, let's go, how do we do this? Okay, we can just set the name. So set name, and then we're going to watch the name. And once the name changes, then we're going to check if that delay, or actually, no, we're not going to have a delay object. We're just going to have a timer. And that timer will have, let's say, half a second. And then we're going to add a timeout and then add this new piece of text to it and then wait like half a second and then execute it. And then if the text changes, then execute that. So let's do this. So I'm going to create a timer variable here. So let's say use state, and oops, why is the snippet not working? Yeah, this one. And let's call this timer, and this will start as null. we're going to use use effect. So let's say use effect and import that. And our callback will listen to name. So in the dependency array, just say name. So every time name changes, we're going to execute this. So what we need to do, let's do some basic validation where we say if name.trim equals an empty string, then we actually, yeah, this will be as well another good way to set the subs to empty, because as well when I erase everything here, that's when again it's empty. So we want to say set subs to an empty array and then return, don't do anything. Otherwise, if it's not empty, then here we want to do the search. Well, actually we can just call this function. So we'll say search subs like this, and we can just remove this argument. We don't want it, we don't need it to be passed because we already have it in the state. And also here we don't need to set it because it's already being set by the input. We can just simply say const data equals blah 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 and search slash name here. And now to use a timer, we're gonna wrap all of this. So here at the start of the search sub, we're gonna set a timer. So we'll say set timer, which is just our state variable. This is not some like other JavaScript. We're gonna have some other JavaScript inside of it, which is the I'm pretty sure you're familiar with set timeout. And what set timeout does is it takes a callback and that does something here, and then it also takes a delay, and the delay will be in milliseconds. So if it's half a second, it's gonna be 500. So our callback actually needs to be async, and our async callback would actually be just this. So we can just move this code inside of it, and this should, oops, let me remove this, bring this back, and this should work exactly the same. The only difference is that's actually here called clear timeout, and we're gonna pass it our timer because we need to clear our timer because we don't want them to stack. If someone types R, E, and then A, we don't want to have one for R and one for RE and one for each time the user types something new. We want to clear the old timeout and then set the timeout with this new string that the user has typed. All right, let's check if this is working as intended. All right, so let's, I'm going to delete all of these. And here I'm going to say ria. And there we go. I waited half a second and it searched for ria. And if I add CT, I feel like it's a bit too slow. Yeah, it's a bit too slow. Let's give it maybe 250. Where are we? Right here. So 250. So a quarter of a second. All right, save. And let's say React. All right, cool. So, all right, this looks much better. This feels much better. Cool. If I delete everything, all right, cool. It's working as intended. I don't know what happened there. All right, let's make these as well so that when we click them, they take us to the sub, because right now they don't take us anywhere. So that's easy. That would be, yeah, this div. No, not this. Here, this div. Let's give this an onClick event. So we'll say onClick, and if this is clicked, we're gonna call something called, let's call it go to sub, and then pass it this sub.name, and let's create that. So here we'll have const go to sub equals an arrow function. And actually we need the router. Do we have the router? Okay, we don't. Let's create let's get the router. So say const router equals use router, and here where are we? Here where we go to a sub. Actually we're past the name of the sub, so sub name, and that's a string. So here we're just gonna say router.push, and we're gonna go to /r/ and do subname. And also, we need to set the name to empty string. All right, save. All right, so if we search for React, we click on React.js. There we go. It takes us to React.js. And also by setting the name to empty, it sets the subs to an empty list as well. Because look, if you don't set it, because don't forget that the navbar is part of this page as well. Because if you go here and you type React and you click on Ready Player One, for example, it takes you there, but this is, you know, this component is still there. It doesn't reset. So we need to set this name to an empty string, which in turn removes this list. So now if I click on React.js, there we go. It closes that dropdown. All right, so that's it for the search. Please, again, make sure to like this video if you haven't, so that more people that are searching for this type of content can find it. All right, and of course, subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and hit the bell button so that you get all the notifications. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.